Hey, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Cop Blast Podcast. As always, this is Matthew Taylor of Carbon County Cop Block.
I am Scott Marshall of the Oath Accountability Project.
And I'm Bill Godin joining me again.
So, how's everybody doing tonight?
I'm doing well. Just got back from a boring, long school board meeting.
School board meetings. There's no such thing as boring.
Oh, yes, there are. I've been to quite a few of these as well, and it's kind of miserable at times while you're there because they just drone on and just, God, they're so annoying. I hate you, Gloria Bowman.
Yeah, the principal there, or what is she?
She
the
is the
superintendent.
superintendent, yeah.
Oh, she's terrible.
I assure you, everybody, we're going to be a little bit more talkative. We are actually on Facebook right now, live streaming, and we're getting it good this first time. Because last week it was a little.
Hopefully our audio is better now. I just checked it and it didn't look like it was picking up so well, but now it looks like it's doing great. I'm gonna go ahead and turn off desktop audio just in case if that's tweaking with it. Hopefully that sounds better now, you guys. I apologize. This is a work in progress, and
Oh yeah.
and we're all constantly tweaking and just trying to make it better. So please bear with us.
Absolutely. So, anyways, now that I've done that, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to turn off this here cell phone. Instead, I'm going to actually accidentally hit the emergency option, and then I was frantically like hitting my phone, like, please don't, please don't, please don't. But yeah, now that I can put my attention back to this, yeah. So, how's everybody's week been?
I'd say it's been pretty interesting. Been a lot of really interesting debating on Facebook, especially concerning this whole Black Lives Matter thing. I just think a lot of people are confused about what exactly Black Lives Matter is and everything, and even I'm confused. But I think I think that as far as that goes, I feel like Black Lives Matter originally started as an idea, as kind of like a hashtag and a slogan, and then people decided that for some reason or another it needed to be an organization, and I think that's where a lot of people are a little bit off, because I really think it works better as just an idea, because when you call it now suddenly representing this organization that probably don't have the probably not the best at expressing themselves when it comes to things like that.
I've seen the news footage. I would probably say you're correct with that.
So, I've been, at the heart of quite a few debates this week with Black Lives Matter, just because on Cop Block Radio last week, we ended up talking about it. And just unfortunately, we rubbed some people the wrong way with our opinions. And
Really?
yeah, I
can't imagine that.
I didn't see it coming. But the thing is that they were from inside of the Cop Block network. So, that's normally something that we don't get. We normally have quite a bit of support coming from there. So when that happened, it definitely made me want to engage more and figure out how I rubbed them the wrong way and what it was all about. And part of the way through this debate, people really started to try to connect what Black Lives Matter is doing and trying to compare it to the civil rights movement. Now, I don't know about you, but I see that as like a Hail Mary lob in connection.
I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say that, because we have the data. There's really no denying at this point that there is institutionalized racism, and I mean that's kind of what they dealt with in the 60s. I really think that
In the 70s and the 80s
well,
and the
yeah,
90s.
well, exactly. But during primarily civil rights, they fought with that a lot. I think is
But let's take a look at the way that they went about everything, okay? Yes, you did have people marching. You had people who were, setting up rallies, and that absolutely agree with. But what you didn't have was every town breaking out in riots.
Riots.
That's where the big difference comes in. Now, you know, you go to blacklivesmatter.com and they don't take credit for any of the riots that happened in Ferguson. They don't take credit for Baltimore or Milwaukee,
I don't really think they would though. I mean,
Yeah.
or Baton Rouge. But here's the thing: even though they don't take credit for it, you cannot tell me that people are not on the streets carrying signs that say Black Lives Matter, the hashtag, the whatever, you know, and repping
like,
the name.
Scott said though, some of these people are not the best at expressing themselves.
I just want to say, how many of these people are actually like official? They go to Black Lives Matter meetings. They go on the blogs and the forums and they talk to people. Or how many of them are just upset? They write Black Lives Matter on a sign. And they go, "Come on, man, we're gonna go fucking show them. We're gonna go fucking show all these motherfuckers what the fuck is going on."
Hey, I've seen that news interview. I've seen that guy actually.
Can I be honest though? Like at the end of the day, I mean, this is something that I affiliate myself with completely. But is that not basically how Cop Block started?
Well, I mean,
To a point.
yeah.
I mean, then it started out very unorganized, and then organized itself, but decentralized.
Well, I wouldn't even say that it's really that organized. I would say that it's just more a bunch of people helping out each other where they can. But you really can't call it organized because at best, I think we have maybe a couple people in each state that actually, like, in each state there's like a couple people, and not a lot of the time these people aren't close to each other. So you really can't say that. I think the organization comes from the simplicity. I mean, there's not a lot of people that are willing to do what we do.
Very true. I think you're very accurate with that.
Like with the broader umbrella of Black Lives Matter, I mean that is a whole race of people that they can umbrella. But it's like with anything. Adam Rapika, did Adam Rapika speak for you? I mean, I'm not saying anything bad about him, but Adam Rapika was the cop blocker that was accused of molesting his daughter. And then supposedly he ran to Mexico while faking going to Canada. But he really didn't need to fake it because, like, at that point, because he still had a couple days before his court date, so he could have been well away before anybody even knew that he wasn't going to show up.
Yeah.
So that's one red flag. But without going into all of that, we don't really know what happened with Adam. We just know
Right.
that Adam and his wife or his girlfriend or whatever are not with us anymore. But whatever he may or may have done, may have or may have not done, I wouldn't say it has any reflection on me or you. I mean, we knew the guy, but
True. It doesn't have reflection on us individually, but as a network, as a whole, as Cop Block, it absolutely does.
well, I mean, I wouldn't say that he represents us though. Like, he doesn't. Like, you can say from an outsider's perspective, they might think that, but that just comes from an ignorance of, we never met Adam. I'm friends with him on Facebook still, but I never even exchanged words with him. So it'd be silly to think that me and him were on the exact same page and we were buddy in that, whatever he stood for, I stood for. That's just silly.
When you have a network like Cop Block, and I'm talking about as an outsider here, I'm not a member of that network at all. When you have a network like that and you're two members of the network, I think it's not a huge leap in judgment to say that you probably have the same beliefs.
Well, I mean, we could have some of the thing about Cop Block Network is it's not like, say the Libertarian Party that has a whole
Here we go again.
beliefs. Well, no, I'm not going to bash on them. I'm just saying, like the Libertarian Party, they have a whole umbrella of beliefs. But the thing about Cop Block that unites us all is this, these one or two like special beliefs that, badges don't grant extra rights. And beyond that scope, I mean, we could be, night and day different, but as long as we agree on that, we can still be in the same network.
Agreed.
It's not like Cop Block is vetting anybody that, if you shoot nice videos and whatever, sure, come be a contributor. It's not like they're vetting people and they're hiring people and doing background checks. No,
That's
It's
very
just like
true.
you have a message, let us help you get your message out.
Yeah, and I mean, one thing about the Cop Block Network that is very, true is that, we don't really care about what your past is, what you've done and stuff like that, for the sole fact of that's not what we're attempting to do. We're not attempting to, we don't care what our personal, backgrounds ever were. It's that there is a message and there is a reason for what we're doing. And regardless of what somebody's past is, it doesn't reflect on the fact that there's a very important message behind everything, and it is the fact that there is something fundamentally wrong with the police state that we all are currently living in. So, in my mind, it doesn't really matter what somebody's past was. If they woke up and they have, and they want to actively engage and fight against what's happening inside the country, I don't think it really matters to focus in on somebody's past and what they've done, when what they're doing now is really honestly for the greater good.
Yeah, well, see, that I think that's one of the follies that we kind of find ourselves in as humans is we expect everybody to be, a finished product when we meet them. And everybody feels like they're a finished product. But see, nobody really feels like they should give themselves time to change or give other people a chance to, change. We always view people as these rigid, and I was saying to my boss earlier, is I like to think of people's opinions like a concrete sidewalk. Okay, people form these opinions, and right there where they are in their life, they feel like that's solid, that's them, that's where they're going to be for the rest of their life. So they're not open to outside opinions. They're like a sidewalk. No rain gets through, no dirt gets inside of it. It's just a rock. But if you can create that crack, if you can create just the smallest crack, give room for a little bit of dirt to collect and maybe a seed to grow, and then soon enough you got plants busting open the sidewalk. And I don't remember where that began, but that's where my thought process ended on that.
I like where your thought process ended.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense though. And back to Black Lives Matters, at the end of the day, I agree with the message that they're trying to get across. I do. At the same time, I feel like they've almost pigeonholed and segregated a problem, because the problem at hand isn't just an African American problem. It's an American problem.
Yeah, but I would say that the black people, they I choose to say black because I feel like that's the preferred nomenclature. And when you call them African Americans, at this point, I mean, that's their heritage, but they're Americans. Let's call them Black Americans.
Okay.
Because that's what they are. I mean, if you want to be called African Americans, fine, I'll call you that, but please call me a Caucasian American. That's another thing with the labels. We should stop with the super harsh, everybody's got to be a defined label and whatnot.
Yeah, which is why I personally feel like it's
the Black Lives Matter is counterintuitive
to progression.
But I would say to point out the latent racism in this country is go on any police supporter page, or any just police page that might post something out to a sort of mixed community, and see them post Blue Lives Matter, and then go through the comments and try to find how many people angrily type All Lives Matter. You won't find it.
Nope.
You just, I mean, and it's just, it's like, it's really an indication of, the racism. Like, it's just one of those tells that it's not apparent if you don't point it out, but it's like, just put them side by side. It's just, in the really offensive part, and I've said this a bunch and I'll say it again because, I feel like more people need to hear this, is the most offensive part about Blue Lives Matter is that you're to be a blue life is a choice. To be a black life is not a choice. So when you say Blue Lives Matter, you're saying my life matters, and
because of a job you took?
Yeah, because of a job you took. Like, it's ridiculous. You're volunteering and you're getting paid. You're getting paid to be a blue life. Black
Unless you're like that from that very small community of people in Kentucky who actually are physically blue,
or the Smurfs.
or the Smurfs, like they don't have a choice. But you're right. Cops, they have a choice, and to sit there and say their lives matter more because they've made a choice to be an officer is a really ignorant statement.
Yeah, if anything, I would say that when you put on that uniform, you kind of your life priority lowers that of a regular citizen. I mean, not severely, but your job is to protect people, and you can't exactly protect people if your first worry is your own protection.
Very true.
Because what are we paying you for?
How
then?
are you supposed to protect and
Then-
serve
then
if
what-
your ass is the one that you care about the most?
Yeah,
I
what
mean,
are-
it's
you're just-
supposed to be a selfless job, and the fact that your number one concern is yourself. And don't get me wrong, self-preservation is something that is ingrained into the human condition. But the fact that we've even experienced officers who have just flat out said, "Yeah, I'm here to protect myself." That's
Yeah, we don't-
that's a
We
problem
don't pay
with
you
that.
to protect yourself.
Yeah. If you feel like you're the one who needs protection, maybe take off the badge and let somebody else do your job because you're not fit to do it anymore. It's just
Thoughts? Not really. No, I mean, you guys pretty well summed that little section up.
I think we did. So why don't we move on to a new topic?
We were talking earlier this week about
Fuck Kanye? No.
No, we were
Hey, you
talking.
said it.
I did. I broke rules.
We were talking about small town America and why is when you ride through Main Street it looks more like a ghost town than when it used to.
I think the root of the problem goes well beyond Walmart.
Well, I mean Walmart I feel like is
The devil
like
incarnate.
I would say that Walmart is like 70% of the problem.
I don't know if it's 70, but it's definitely up there. I mean, let's just take Walmart and we should book take all the big box stores.
Well, Amazon
group
too.
them.
We'll say Walmart and Amazon. And you know what? I love Amazon.
Yeah.
I love Amazon. But see, Amazon still gives the little guy a chance. Let's see, Amazon will sell things for the little guys and stuff. Walmart, to be able to get on their shelves, you got to go through Amazon. So you got a product, we'll sell it, sure.
Yeah.
So Amazon is much better than Walmart, I would think, unless somebody else knows some sort of like wicked crazy downside here.
I mean, I know people who work in their facilities.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
and
yeah.
let's
Yeah,
let's
I
just
know,
be
yeah.
honest. Like that's just as bad as Walmart there. So
Maybe even worse.
yeah, but either way, I really do agree that Walmart in itself is a really big problem because the second a big box retailer comes in that sells, what this store and that store did,
Well-
now you come in and they're able to charge prices that are so much lower because they are a big organization. They buy in such bulk that they don't have to pay the same prices, so their prices are lower.
Oh, not to mention companies kissed Walmart's ass because that's now that Walmart is so huge. But let's go through this process, okay,
Yep.
of how Walmart and not all Walmart, but how the small towns really fucking died. Okay, first you had the interstate highways. Now before you had all these little windy highways, and these towns grew up because they were on a busy route of the highway. It was a popular thoroughfare, so a lot of people would go through there, and that's how your town would grow, especially if it was near a popular train stop or a port or anything like that. So when the interstate highways came in, they carved through and made it so fast that you didn't have to drive through 20 little towns to get from A to B. You could just bolt right through. And we kind of got these little communities now that build themselves up around the interstates, but they're mostly gas stations, fast food, and hotels.
Right.
And sometimes in touristy area, little kitschy stuff. So you kind of got a little bit of a resurgence there, but again, those are mostly chains and stuff. So, and what Walmart did is Walmart came in and everybody could go to the Walmart and get their shit cheap, and they could get it all at once. And then all these little stores started to close, so all these people needed jobs. So where's the only place to go work? It's Walmart. Now you have everybody in the town working in Walmart, but Walmart's paying shit wages, so your town is poor as fuck. And your main street is all closed up. And now
Well,
you're getting...
let's examine why that town
Well,
is poor as fuck. I mean, as you put it. I mean, they have the tax breaks. Walmart doesn't even pay close to the taxes that any other business would.
It's super,
not even
but-
close.
super low
But the
prices
second
means lower
one
taxes anyway, lower sales tax.
Absolutely.
lower sales tax, but the second something like that enters into a town, property tax, on the other hand,
right up.
goes right up
Absolutely.
because it, at the end of the day, it raises the amount of money that they say is generated by a single location. And once that happens, because okay, you have say you have 5 and 6 mom and pop shops that sell things. Well, they only hire, let's say, 6 or 7 people for each one. All right.
Sure.
But then you have Walmart that averages a crew of, 200 to 300 people at a single location. So now you have people from outside of the towns traveling in. So now even more money is not only being kicked out in the mindset of the way everything works into the community,
Yeah.
but then also more money being brought into the community as well. So property tax rises. So it's harder for people to keep their small shops open, not only because they've got competitor prices, but then also on top of the fact that their taxes are now raising. But then you also have people inside of the town who no longer can afford to live where they want to live. So people are moving outside of that town as well.
And this is where welfare comes in,
Mhm.
and government assistance is now all these people that are working at Walmart. Walmart pays them so low that they have to go on government assistance. And if you have everybody that's working at this place, and this place is making a lot of money, and all of that money most of that money is going outside of your community up into some big bank account
Right.
where it sits there. Instead of that, oh, well, that's what you get. So now everybody's on welfare, and where's the cheapest place to buy food? The Walmart that you work at, and it gives you a discount. So Walmart,
Oh, they don't give a discount.
yeah, they do. Walmart gets a discount.
It's like
They
a
do?
10%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
It's like
I
10
didn't
or
realize
20.
that.
Yeah, it's
I
10
didn't
or
realize
20.
that.
Yeah, they definitely do. Then they say, well, we'll
Makes
give
it
you a
even
discount
worse.
to make the people buy into them. So not only are they paying their employees shit, the employees are spending all their money and all their welfare money back at the Walmart. So the Walmart is cashing out twice, and they're getting they're getting all their money from the welfare that comes from the fucking government.
But in a capitalistic society, you have to almost admire the mechanism that
Oh, yeah.
Walmart.
Oh, you do. It's evil, but it's like, wow, what the
brilliant,
Fuck.
utterly brilliant.
Yeah, but at the same
Because
time,
there's no downside.
right, but and that's the flaw of a capitalistic society, because at the end of the day, the corporations are cared more about than the people themselves. So when you put more stock into how much money a company's making and trading on Wall Street than into how much money your average American is actually making off of this job, then you start to have these problems start to get worse. And then what really started to, I think, sealed the deal for the death of small town America really had to have been the fact of when Obamacare got signed in. And my reasoning for that is because once that happened, you have companies like Walmart that do not want to pay for their employees to have or give their employees the options to have health insurance unless they absolutely have to. So that instead of having a bunch of people working 40 hours a week, they're now dropping down to 25 and
Right.
being even more reliant on government assistance.
Right, and this open marketplace they talk about. I've looked at the rates. I mean, they're not affordable at all.
No.
I mean, the Affordable Care Act, that is just a hideous name.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not even close.
No.
I mean, and you're getting paid minimal wages at Walmart. Okay, you're collecting some sort of government assistance if you're lucky, and then you literally have to, or you're gonna get fined.
Right.
You have to purchase insurance on something that's not even considered affordable. Yes, they give you subsidies, but it's not even realistic as far as the pricing goes.
Right.
I mean, having paid for my own health insurance, I know it's not cheap.
Right.
And it was supposed to. We were told, we were fed a line that this Affordable Care Act was supposed to make everything affordable for everybody.
But then again, though, we were also told that it was going to happen whether we liked it or not, whether Congress liked it or not.
Right.
This was going to happen.
Sure.
Because that was the whole basis of basically the whole basis of his campaign. So, with change and with this Affordable Health Care Act, it got shoved so far down American throats that now people are either going, well, screw it, I'll still take the fine, because that $90 to $120 fine at the end of the year is still putting a lot more money back into my pocket than shoveling out another $300 a month that I couldn't afford anyways, just to get health care that I might not actually use this year.
Right.
And so, I mean, it's just another cog in this broken ass machine we call the U.S. government.
And I mean, let's just talk about the government mandating healthcare. I mean, the government is mandating the use of private just on the concept, it goes against everything that this government is supposed to stand for. And I mean, I'm not talking from the outside here. It's just absolutely ridiculous.
I mean, well, that's what happens when you have, once again, a government that cares more about corporations than it does about its people. It hid corporate agenda inside of a message of this is for the greater good for the people. And that when you have messages that are being said that it's for the greater good, but is damning people to poverty, there's no way to come back and explain that how any good that it has done.
And you have the elected officials that are supposed to be they're supposed to be
the buffer between the bullshit and what happens.
He just totally went around it.
Oh,
We're good. And not that they would have protected us, but it would have had a chance maybe.
Well, I don't know, because Big Pharma put a lot of those people in their asses in the seats that they're in. I mean, the fact that Congress even sat back and went, whoa, surprises me, because Big Pharma has paid for so many of them to be there, either side of the aisle, that I'm surprised they just didn't go, where do I sign? Either side, because all of so many of them owe so much to Big Pharma that it just shocked me that they turned around and didn't just
I'm a silver platter.
Maybe the woe was when they sat back and said, "Well, maybe that was a little bit of a theatrical production."
We call that controlled opposition.
Call that wagging the dog is what we call that. So,
well, I mean, I was thinking just on the way over here is that medical technology is advancing so much that, I mean, I could theoretically live to be 150 by the time that time came around. I could possibly live to be 150, but I won't be able to afford it.
There's no way.
Right? I mean, if your last name is Rockefeller and you can buy 6 hearts, then yeah, you'll make it.
You don't actually need to do that. You can have your last name of Casey and get that mysterious, heart kidney transplant that you need.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's just every week I know it happens to you too, and I'm sure it happens with you too, Bill. But you find one more thing that just you didn't think you could find something more out about this country, or make another revelation that goes
Revelation.
Yeah, revelation that makes you go, fuck. No wonder. I mean, the fact that there are so many people in this country that sit back and don't understand why this country is hated outside of its borders shocks me. I mean, it is written on the fucking walls. Why we are a group of cocky fucking, our government is a group of cocky fucking people who don't give a shit about their own people, that would rather turn around and go to war with another country and destabilize it for resources, and then turn around and say,
We're trying to
9/11.
or we're trying
That's
to-
exactly what they do. They turn
Well-
around 9/11.
We're trying to give them
This is-
democracy.
Louis C.K. had a good bit about this. He did his bit was that America's like that ex-girlfriend that never forgets about the one kind of big fuck up that you do. Is just every time we go, they're like, "But you're killing all these people." 9/11, but 9/11. But you're killing all these 9/11. 9/11.
That's exactly what it is. Because I mean, now especially with the way that we operate, we have the government. I keep saying we, but the American government has formulated such a list that I'm sure that not even the people who formulated this list knows all the classifications it takes to become a terrorist, in the government's eyes. I'm sure half the people who made the list qualify for the fucking list because there are so many different things. Scott one time sent me just a snippet that he found, and I swear to God, we were falling under it left and right.
I was
It's
like,
just
"Oh, that's me. That's me. That's
Yeah.
me. That's me. That's me. That's me. It's me."
It's like, what do? We hold some signs sometimes that we do a podcast, but we're terrorists. We're terrorists in the government eyes. This right here, guys.
Sometimes I film a
is-
cop or two.
Yeah, this is
Uh-oh.
detrimental to national security right now. Yep.
Well,
We
we're congregating and we're disseminating information about conflicting information that's not conducive to
The stat-
patriotism. I don't know, the status
Oh,
quo.
no,
it's not even patriotism. I mean, I consider myself a patriot.
Well,
I
yeah.
mean,
By
I mean,
definition, I
Oh,
would say
yeah,
that we're all
and-
patriots.
Oh, absolutely. But then to turn around and to use our constitutional rights to do what we do, and then to be labeled a terrorist for doing such, it's mind-boggling. How can we sit there and be called terrorists for operating within inside of the Constitution that our country was founded on? Why? Because this country has gone so far off the rails that I couldn't imagine being some of these people who were alive, let's even say 80 years ago, and saw what America was like then and what it is now. Because yes, okay, there has been some really good progression in the sense of, civil rights movement,
So we've had good social
evolution.
but for every little bit of social progress that we make, we regress in political progress. We have an antiquated system that we're using. This system that we have makes no sense. The system that we have was designed for when people couldn't communicate back and forth. They couldn't they could communicate, but
it took time.
it took a lot of time and a lot got lost in the message.
But the system was always also created to take the place of the uninformed masses. I mean, and today, a lot of people are a lot more informed. I mean, I consider myself pretty well informed. I know what's going on. I'm sure you guys are too. I mean, you guys, every time I walk in here, I hear something that even I didn't know. It's just, and to take the control, away from us, and we've always had the control, so we need to keep it. I mean, it's just like following down the rabbit down the hole.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not gonna get any better if we don't. It's not gonna get any better if we don't do something about it. The problem is that they don't want you to do anything about it.
Oh no,
Well-
this scares the crap out of them because, like I think I said it last week, and I don't know if I said it on this show or if I said it on Cop Block Radio, but at the end of the day, you got about 2,000 elected officials, and those 2,000 elected officials have turned around and they have themselves, a bunch of I'm talking like the DC 2,000 elected officials, DC, and then you have a bunch of smaller ones that are, municipalities, townships, mayors, governors, that kind of crap. But at the end of the day, that number really isn't substantial. And then they have about 1.2 million peacekeepers that they have armed and sent out into the world to keep their peace. And what scares the shit out of them is even when you take all of that, you don't even hit 2 million people, and the population, on the other hand, completely outweighs it. So once the population starts really getting the message that this is a broken system, it needs to change, they see their power and they're just watching their power slip, which is why they are ramping it up, which is why you go from, 1950 when you have you have police on the street and, they're in their car, but they know everybody's name in town and or in the where they patrol. You have cops that get out of their fat asses out of the cars and walk the streets to actually communicate with everybody, to nowadays where they're just pushing military gear at them going, keep our peace, please. Because the second this system breaks down, their power goes away. And you're right, this whole system was designed to make decisions because the masses couldn't get all the information in time, because it took weeks, even months, to get a message from New York City to California. And then when you have things like telegrams that turn around, or even Morse code that connected people, it started to slip. Nowadays, you can pick up a phone and call somebody in Beijing like that. The system is overpowered, and we don't need it to where it's at anymore, because we have the ability to inform ourselves, and we have the ability to get the same information, whether you're in New York, whether you're in Texas, whether you're in California, instantaneously at the same time. So we don't need people sitting there making these informed decisions for us, because we're all informed ourselves. And then to sit there and try to say that we still have a say in these informed decisions is kind of really bull.
That's been a fallacy for years. I mean, just talk to older people, and they still think they have a say. I mean, I had this discussion, I believe it was Friday, with some older people in a local high rise, and I mean, they thought I was the second coming of the devil. It's like, listen, you don't have a say anymore. In fact, I won't even say anymore. You never did.
Yeah.
You never did. And they're looking at me, oh, I elected. You did nothing. Okay?
No.
Nothing.
And it's like, after about 5 minutes, I had to leave because I didn't want there any physical violence.
Well, yeah, they still believe that they have that. But then, you were saying that you were at this is an elderly community.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, the largest nursing home in America, which would be Florida, decided that they wanted Gore to be our president, and look what happened. Didn't go that way, because your votes, your opinions, what you want means jack shit in this system. They have it all done up and pinned up real nicely, but where the fallacy still looks like it could be there, because they still want to sit there and tell you, well, there's a popular vote. You guys did do this. Good job. Participation medal, but
that's
who we have.
exactly what it is. It's a participation medal.
Yep, that's exactly what it is.
They'll even show you the popular vote. They'll show it to you on the bottom of the screen.
Yeah.
They don't show you the electoral vote.
No.
Well, that's the one that counts.
Like
And
George Carlin once said, he said, I'd rather masturbate than vote, because at least when I'm done masturbating, I have something to show for it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Great line. And totally true.
Oh yeah.
The concept that we choose, or that we have any say, or that we choose anything that happens to us, it's such a myth that's propagated by the machine, by the government, and it just boggles my mind how many people still believe it.
Well, they don't even think that they already don't think that we are capable of making our own choices. If you
Just look at the laws in place.
Well, I was gonna say go watch the John Oliver episode where he talks about DC and DC's statehood and just listen to the politicians when they ask the politicians about giving DC statehood. The way that they talk, they're like, DC can't choose for itself. We know what's best. Like,
condescending pricks.
Yeah, like our capital of our country can't choose for itself what it actually what's better for it. So let's just keep it going the way it is, and that is the embodiment of the way our country runs right now.
But there's no change on the horizon either. There's no change. I mean, you need to change from the bottom up, but they have this almost blanket that just prevents it.
Well, and that's why there's so many
This machine is so efficient and so powerful that they figured out that they can literally tell people what to get upset about. And who was it? Richard Nixon that said that the American people won't believe anything unless they see it on television.
Yes.
Like, I mean, that is perfect because they know the power that they have and they know exactly how to use it. They can spin every cog and they know every little bit on how to make it work.
I wanna real quick before we jump into this. I want to say hey to Retro, who is one of our main viewers over on the live YouTube stream. He was asking what's up with Rick, and he wants to know if Rick is okay. Rick, unfortunately, has been experiencing a lot of technical difficulties. His computer got the bad end of a storm, and unfortunately, he is just not able to join us at this point on a weekly basis until that gets fixed. So at this point, you know, we brought Bill in to give us a new insight from, you know, unfortunately with the way that our whole demeanor worked before was we found ourselves, you know, Rick, Scott, and myself, we were all basically on the same page on every topic. So instead of coming in and seeming like an informed debate, it kind of seemed like three guys coming on the internet and bitching for an hour, you know. And what's nice about having Bill here, and nothing against Rick, but it gives us a whole nother dimension to this, because we don't always see eye to eye. We do have ourselves some informed debates, and we come from completely different walks of life. So when all that comes together, it makes for these really good conversations, because, you know, one thing that we found that we were always doing was really programming where this show went. We would have, you know, we would talk about this at this point, this at this point, this at this point. We've stopped that, guys. Like, we kind of have an idea of like, hey, let's talk about this tonight, and then we'll see where we go.
And another downside to the way that things work when we do it like that is we have 3 computers, 3 internet connections, 3 different locations. And it just throws 3 times the opportunity for technical difficulties, which we are already super prone to doing. But it eliminates the possibility for a nice, like, in-person conversation, because there's no delay, there's no lag, there's less talking over each other. And it makes for, I feel like, a more genuine conversation.
Absolutely.
While we love doing this podcast with Rick, and we hope that we can incorporate him back in at some point, right now it's just not working, and we really do miss Rick. So shout out to Rick over at Allentown Cop Block. I messed that up last week. I said Carbon County, but Rick over at Allentown Cop Block.
He's the man. And we're still making that calendar. You know, come first of the year, it'll be Rick All Day calendar. So look out for it, because it's going on sale.
Oily Rick in a Speedo in July.
I definitely, you know, want to get him in the Costanza.
Oh yes, the Costanza.
So, anyways, moving on. Back to what we were talking about. Sorry, I just wanted to address that before.
And Retro, just while we're here and we got you, we are considering moving our live stream exclusively to Facebook, and then ripping that and uploading that to YouTube later on. So keep an eye out for the Cop Blast Podcast Facebook, because that's probably where we're going to move to, just because of traffic. And the advantage to doing it on YouTube with the Hangouts was that it was so simple. They already had an interface and an encoder built in. But since they're doing away with that on Hangouts Live, it just makes sense, if we're going to have to go through and set up an encoder and do all that, to just go straight to Facebook where the audience is.
Yep. So, and also when, you know, that has it set up, we are able to, you know, directly on our phones even just monitor what's being said, the comments that are there, so we can still directly interact with you while the show is going on, as we were able to do now. But it just, as Scott said,
YouTube was kind of limited in that aspect. I mean, well, when you go straight to YouTube, you kind of have a chat window, but Facebook is just much more interactive.
Yep. And you know, we have ourselves quite a network between all of us set up there that honestly it's a lot easier for us to just, you know, if we're gonna go through all those steps, why not go where our audience is anyways. So keep an eye out for us there, and hopefully we see you, you know, in the future popping over there, because we love having you on. You always have good comments and are really engaging in what we talk about. So, you know, thanks for always joining us. And also, you know, Bunny Boots,
Yeah, I
who
was
is the
gonna
same
mention
way.
Bunny Boots.
You know, both of you guys, if you head on over to Cop Blast Podcast on Facebook, you know, go ahead and give that a like. And, you know, that's where our podcast is probably most likely going to be moving to. So,
Also, shout out to Tina. I know you're watching.
Tina!
Oh.
Yo, just letting you know, Tina, just so you know at work, these two talk a lot of shit. No, stirring the pot. No, they don't. I'm just
Yes, we
stirring
do.
some pot. Yeah, we do. Anyways, so back what do you remember what you were saying, or did I totally throw you off?
Oh
your
yeah,
fucking
you got me.
groove? Okay, cool. Groove throwing. But shit, what was he talking about? Because it seemed like he was on a roll, and I just kind of was like,
I said about the government being having a blanket,
Yeah,
over top of any kind of progress that would be conducive to overthrowing it, or not. I don't want to say, you know, overthrowing it, but changing.
for lack of a better term,
Right.
really.
I mean,
Well,
I don't
I mean,
condone.
and they're so meticulous. The media is so meticulous at what they do. Like if you look at the Morning Call, for instance, it's the local newspaper out of Allentown, and you look at their Facebook, different headlines they post, they use kind of funny terms, like when they were talking about the Allentown mayor and how he's being investigated by the FBI. For some reason, they decided to call it a probe.
Yep.
I would think that investigation would be the proper word to use there.
Yeah.
Probe is one of those soft spin words. It's one of those, you know, what is it? De-escalation words or
Desensitizing words.
desensitize. Yeah, probe. Investigation. When you hear investigation, you're like, oh shit, there's
There's
dudes.
wrongdoing. Yeah.
There's dudes that wear badges on necklaces up in his office, fucking asking him questions.
Yeah, but you know,
But a probe.
but then again, though, when you're like, so what's the FBI doing over there at the mayor's office? Oh, they're probing.
Well,
Like what?
Well,
what does
I
that
mean,
You actually
mean?
might not be that far
I mean,
off.
well, it depends on really the context and the inflection that you. When you read it in a headline, you say this Allentown mayor running again despite FBI probe. Like you read that and you think, oh, the FBI was there and they asked him a couple questions. No,
Yeah.
that was a full-on investigation. Didn't they raid City Hall?
Yeah, absolutely,
Like-
twice.
They raided City Hall twice.
So, but no, you're right, and you know, that's just local media. Mainstream media takes it a step up because they'll turn around and they might be giving you the biggest shit story of the day on somebody, but first what they're going to do is they're going to throw up a graphic, and this graphic might, you know, show whoever they're talking about, but they're smiling because they want to keep them in a positive light. And when they're showing the graphic, they've got a nice, you know, calming background music, you know, maybe a little bit, you know, somebody twinkling the ivories a little bit in a kind, like, you know, just, you know, good way, and then they'll give you a little bit of a tease on it, send you to commercial to really sink in everything that you've just processed, and then when they come back, then they kind of hit on it, but they make sure to keep that same photo up because once you see that photo, it's already ingrained. Oh, nice little, you know, nice music. Maybe he's not so bad, although, you know,
Surrounded
he was
with some fluff pieces.
yeah, you know, I watched him do this actually out of Philly with Mayor Nutter when he was getting in that crap with, you know, the cocaine and the hooker and all that. And you know, they're sitting there talking about him and the hooker, but sure enough, behind them is Mayor Nutter's, you know, headshot, and and
hold
before
on,
him,
hold on. Let me ask, what's wrong with that though?
Oh.
Hookers and crack, whatever the fuck it was. What's so wrong with that?
I mean,
Now, hold on,
nothing,
if-
nothing
now-
in my
now
eyes,
we're
but
gonna-
the
and we're
FBI decided to probe.
now,
So.
if we're now, hold on. if we're gonna advocate that if our position is going to be that drugs should be legal and that they're not wrong, we can't then turn around and use that somebody who's on drugs to say that.
Well, it was
They-
just kind of.
It was a contextual thing
Yeah.
because
but
the
still.
fact that we view it in one way doesn't mean that that's not the way that the mainstream America views it, which at the same time on top of that is because of the way that it's spun on the news. So if they want it to seem like a way that it's bad, because the first way out, yeah, they were hammering him. They were hammering him. He got kicked out. They said no more Mayor Nutter, but you know what he did? He went, he trumped it. He said, I can do whatever I want, and I'm still going to get back in. And sure enough, there he sits. He got himself reelected. He's back. They kicked him out, and he said, nah, I'll be back. And he's back. And you know what? Once they started turning around and you had people trying to hit slam pieces on him, the media was like, yeah, we don't like the other guy. Fluff piece the shit out of him. Even if we're turning around and say, yeah, well, his opponent decided to go up on stage and talk about his past, we're going to fluff piece this one, and we're going to go ahead and we're going to nice audio, good headshot, commercial break, come back, happiness. And it's just the way the media works. I mean, when was the last time? Here's a really good example of this. When was the last time that you sat back and you went, yeah, when watching on the news about watching people die? Okay, you don't, but you can't sit here and tell me that in early or late 2002, early 2003, that people weren't sitting there cheering as shock and awe is going on.
And a shout out to a Demo Freeman.
Oh yeah, here.
Yeah, we're definitely a bunch of white guys sitting around. But sorry to throw you off again.
Yeah. As we sat here and said, yeah, well, we will totally keep track of the people who talk on our Facebook. You know, there's a demo. He's sitting there talking and making comments, and we zoned out on that. So that's our bad oversight.
But yeah, and one of the things that he mentioned is that the thing about Facebook Live is you kind of need to have some sort of a backup, like it recording or something, because one report will get your video reviewed and pulled down instantly, and that goes for Facebook Live through an encoder or through your phone. If you're cop blocking, I would say that you probably shouldn't Facebook Live when you're cop blocking, because if they kill your video and then Facebook decides that it can't come back, you lose that video and it's not online.
Right.
So once YouTube can come out with some sort of straight app to live stream, that would be pretty awesome. And I don't know what the fuck is taking them so long on that.
Right.
It just seems like that would be something that would be, they hit a button and go live. But they kind of have a way, and it's kind of funky. The way that I would have to do it if I wanted to go live to YouTube, which I could, is I would have to use YouTube Gaming and then screen capture my camera app, which would allow me to record and stream at the same time. But you'd get all my camera accessories and any notifications that came through. So it's kind of wonky still, but don't use Facebook.
Yeah. The fact that we're using it here, we have it here, but we're actually running a double stream right now. Even though Facebook is going on right now, we are still sitting live on YouTube as well. Just so the sole fact of, this is where our audience is over on Facebook. But just in case somebody decides to be a real asshole, we can turn around, rip it right, or take the YouTube and throw it right up there at the end of the day. Because one, we kind of prepared for that, and two, just because that's where our audience is doesn't mean we don't expect people to be assholes at times and not agree with our message, and at the end of the day decide, fuck these guys, I'm going to hit that button. Now, hopefully, Facebook claims that they have a 24-hour, team sitting around and watching all these videos that get flagged. But at the same time, if anybody has ever tried to communicate with Facebook when they've had an issue, whether it's, they screwed up and sent $30 of yours to the wrong person because they required you to put in a card at some point, or just anything like that, the second you try to contact Facebook, you basically get an online site that says we don't have anybody, and it really should have a graphic from South Park of the people from the Time Warner just sitting back and yeah, you guys got a problem. That's exactly what it should be, because they just don't care. But oh wow, I didn't even realize what time we were sitting on right now. We're at that 10:30 mark. So before we go ahead and jump off for the night, is there anything else you guys have to say?
George Bush did 9/11.
Agreed.
Sandy Hook wasn't real.
Boston bombing seems a little fishy. Seems like there was pyrotechnics.
London bombing doesn't look right.
The people that were on the news feeds of the Pulse nightclub shooting were actually being carried towards the Pulse nightclub instead of away from it.
Yeah, that was a good
I mean, with the actual club in the background of these shots, and they're walking towards the club with these people.
Tower 7 fell 28 minutes after they reported it fell on the BBC
due to normal office fires.
Let's see. Yeah, I think that's. Big Pharma definitely pays your doctors to put you on the medications that they want, not that you need.
The government keeps drugs illegal to keep your mind in a prison.
The Constitution is now basically a piece of paper and a lie. Anything else?
No, I was really enjoying that little laugh.
So,
I was gonna head toward gun control, but I think we can actually keep that for another time.
Yeah,
because that's an hour.
Well, that's an hour.
That's a whole nother conversation. So at this point, I would like to say thank you for everybody tuning in Wednesday at 10:06 p.m. Either tune in to LRN.FM or head on over to copblock.org/show to catch myself, Severin Freeman of Lehigh Valley Cop Block, and our new special guest host. Come on over, check us out, and we will put on a great show.
You forgot
every
his name,
week.
didn't you?
Shut up. So anyways guys, we will catch you next week. Till then, record the cops if you can. Record sideways, because
Please.
For the love of God, this is all we want you to do. Record like this, because this is how people watch videos. And besides that,
Shout out to Rick Gonzalez.
shout out to Rick Gonzalez of
Allentown.
Allentown Cop Block, and
Shout out to Demo Freeman of Cop Block.
.org, and just shout out to everybody who decided to stick around and listen to these three white guys ramble about any and everything. So,
All right, well, we're joining on. Thank you, Facebook, and I'm Scott Marshall.
I'm Matt Taylor.
I'm Bill Godin.
Have a good night.